ultimately had 60 senators say that they want this bill on the floor, that you might be able to convince the majority leader to bring it up? I think you better wait until we get the bill out of committee for that to be answered, because I don't know how it's received. You might think that I've had a lot of criticism on my side for bringing it up. I haven't had a single senator talk to me. I know senators have made comments in the press, but in this business, you take one step at a time.
All right, that was a little while ago, and that was Chuck Grassley, who runs the Senate Judiciary Committee. Of course, he is still pushing a measure along with some Republicans, and certainly a good number of Democrats, who are urging protections be built in for Bob Mueller in case the president up and tries to fire the guy. Now, when I was talking to Mitch McConnell, he says that's not going to happen anyway, and even if you push this, the president certainly wouldn't sign this. To the Wall Street Journal editorial board member Kim Strassel. So there's some divide within even some Republicans how far this goes, Kim. But let me ask you, how far does this go?
Well, look, I don't think it does get to the floor, at least right now. And I think Mitch McConnell's got the better of this argument on two grounds. One, it's very likely that this bill is unconstitutional in that it sets up a system of judicial review if the president were to fire the special counsel, and it also codifies into law just a regulation at the Department of Justice that constrains the Attorney General on the reasons that you can fire a special counsel. Both of those are a huge intrusion on the president's removal power, which is pretty vast and especially egregious given that Mr. Mueller is what's called an inferior officer, which means he doesn't even rise to the level of having been confirmed by the Senate. But the second good reason for not doing this is that even if it passed the Senate, it's not passing the House, and the president would veto it.
All right. Now, by the way, as you're speaking, we're getting some video coming into us here live of the president visiting the Joint Interagency Task Force in Key West. Let's listen.
Really very inspirational, and what we just witnessed was incredible. But those crowds coming in, I think even the media will have to say that was quite something. Thank you very much.
Comment on the change in leadership in Cuba? Mr. President,
all right, the purpose of this is a briefing with Northcom, Southcom, a lot of drug interdiction efforts, and how the administration plans to pursue this and tighten this up a little bit here. We're going to be monitoring this very, very closely. But, you know, back to this issue, Kim Strassel of the Wall Street Journal, the president had argued again that, in fact, teasing a lot of his critics that he is about to fire Bob Mueller, that he didn't give any hint of that didn't seem to be in the offing, which is what Mitch McConnell was saying. And even if he did, there'd be all sorts of hell to pay, right? I mean, so it would be on the president if he did something like that.
Well, also, it would be a bit futile because, by the way, if you fire Bob Mueller, then another special counsel will be named. And if anything, this delays and prolongs the pain for the White House because a new person would have to come in, get up to speed, might want to take this in an entirely different direction, and it could just make it go on even longer. And I think the president's been told that by practically every Republican on the planet, which is another reason why this legislation, especially those Republicans who are pushing it clearly to provide themselves some political cover, is not necessarily necessary if the message that you want to get to the president is don't fire Bob Mueller. You've already said it.
The president, a lot of his allies have expressed consternation over where this investigation could be going. His personal lawyers' offices were ransacked by authorities, and his home, just like Paul Manafort, months back at his home. And they're wondering, where's this investigation now? Has it veered far afield here? What's your sense?
Yeah, I think everyone is wondering that, and you have to be a little worried. Look, we are now more than a year into this, or close to, and I think a lot of people, myself included, wanted to know the answer to the question: was there any funny business, collusion, etc.? We seem to no longer even be talking about collusion. No one has presented any public evidence of that. There's now talking about separate ongoing things into maybe obstruction, but there's big questions about whether or not you could even bring charges or should bring charges on that. And we've got people dumpster diving and looking for information about adult film stars, which doesn't seem to be related in any way to Mr. Mueller's original writ. So, look, I think he's got a duty to the country If he hasn't found the main things that he was looking for with regard to what he was assigned to do, then it's time to close up shop and let the country get on with this.
Well, of course, in Ken Starr's case, that investigation went far afield as well. So it does seem to be the history of these things.
They always do.
All right, Kim,
Yeah,
thank you.
they always do.
Thank you very, very much.